I walked next door to pay Pat Quillen's hotel stay at the Adams Mark Hotel before the conference meetings were to start. The young man at the desk asked if I was expecting to catch a flight. I told him that I wasn't due to leave until the next day. He asked if I knew that the airports had been closed. I didn't. He went on to explain that a plane had accidentally crashed into the World Trade Center and that a second plane had been hijacked and purposely crashed into the same buildings. I stood there wondering where the World Trade Center was and how anyone could think that the first plane was an accident if the second one was hijacked. Obviously worked up over the situation, the young man went on to say that another plane had crashed into the Pentagon. Now I was incredulous, but now it made sense. Before leaving Tampa for St. Louis, I felt such a sense of the end of the world sort of dread. I had wanted to see Mama Jackie before leaving town. I felt like I needed to personally say goodbye to everyone. I dismissed it as just being my dread of dealing with the pompous AZA people. That still small voice had said, "It is the end, but not for you and yours." I went to the conference room where the announcement was made that due to the national crisis, all of the meetings were being canceled. The normally boisterous crowd was oddly silent. I walked back to the Radisson and took the windowed elevator back to room 1808. Looking out as the elevator climbed, I saw the word "security" engraved into the face of the bank building erected in 1890. Today was the end of security. It was the end of innocence. It was the end of feeling that our borders were impenetrable. For all I knew at the time, it could have been the end of the world. I stood, motionless, breathless, in front of the TV in my room. The reporter was saying that one of the twin towers of the World Trade Center had collapsed, and that there was a fear that the second tower would collapse as well. It looked like the top of the 1/10 of the 110-story building was engulfed in flames, but I didn't see why anyone thought that it would collapse. Within moments, I saw something that was beyond description. The building imploded and seemed to come down one floor at a time in slow motion. There was a plume of smoke and cinders that looked like an atomic explosion. From cameras on the street, the smoke boiled through the downtown Manhattan and engulfed everything and everyone in its path. Later, eyewitnesses said there were huge balls of fire rolling through the smoke, spurred on by gas pipes bursting. I have spent these last 2 days in front of the TV. No one will ever forget this day in their lifetime, nor will we ever be able to forget the images of the two 757 jets crashing into the World Trade Center. No one will forget the icon of our country's military power, the Pentagon, being ripped open and engulfed in flames. For the first time ever, the stock market was closed indefinitely. I tried to get back to the conference attendees and wanted to discuss Pat's work in Brazil last week, but by now everyone was in a frenzy. They were all upset and panic-stricken and struggling to make arrangements to get home, despite the trains being shut down, the airports all being ground-stopped, and all of the buses and cars rented already. As much as I soak up other people's stress, I thought my heart would burst from my chest. It was beating so hard, so I barricaded myself in the room for the next 2 days. And this next piece, don't remember how I came by this, if I came up with this or if I read it somewhere. It says 11. The day of the attack, 9/11. 9 plus 1 plus 1 equals 11. September 11th is the 254th day of the year. 2 plus 5 plus 4 equals 11. After September 11th, there are 111 days left to the end of the year. 119 is the area code to Iraq, Iran. 1 plus 1 plus 9 equals 11. Twin towers standing side by side looks like the number 11. The first plane to hit the towers was Flight 11. State of New York, the 11th state to be added to the Union. New York City has 11 letters. Afghanistan, 11 letters. The Pentagon, 11 letters. Ramzi Yousef, 11 letters, convicted of orchestrating the attack on the World Trade Center in 1993. Flight 11, there were 92 on board. 9 plus 2 equals 11. Flight 77, there were 65 on board. 6 plus 5 equals 11. Incidentally, Disney World has 11 letters, and so does Kissimmee, Florida. Today's date adds up to 11. My mother, Jamie, Daniel, Marianne, and Scott are all in Orlando today. How many people there could be exposed to a virus in a single day? And I don't know if I mentioned this anywhere else because I read forward a couple entries and I'm not finding it. So there was no way to get home. I was stuck in, where was I? Twin Cities, Minnesota. And I had to get back to Tampa. And there was no car that you could possibly rent to get back to Tampa. And so what I ended up doing was renting a box truck and letting a bunch of other people come along with me in the box truck and dropping these people off as we went down through the states in that box truck because you could not fly out, you couldn't catch a bus, a train, or any other way of getting out of there. And apparently nobody thought they needed to be moving at the time, so box trucks were still available. I don't know if people who didn't witness that in person could ever fully appreciate what a change this meant. And you're going to see in these upcoming few entries that I made some big changes in my life. And they were largely a result of 9/11 just shaking me to the core and making me really think, is this what I want in my life? Is this what my life is about? I think probably a lot of people had that experience.